you have to learn something very important. And that's how to fire an attorney. Don't be intimidated by attorneys. In my eyes, after 50 years of being in business and hiring attorneys for various things, in business, in family law, real estate transactions, business contracts, believe me, these guys, there's very few attorneys that are not only experienced, they're humble, and they're going to get things done. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because I've fired a couple attorneys in the last 5 years. And the reason for it is because they don't know their shit, man. It's all about the firm. They don't look at you as a client. They don't respect you as a client. They look at you as payday, billing time, okay? And they're not even problem solvers, only a very few. And the reason why I'm excited about telling you about this, and I'm sitting in a hotel in Vietnam, is because I recently received an email from an attorney. The bill is less than $1,000. He didn't do his job, and the whole fucking firm is billing me, asking why I haven't paid the bill in full yet. Not to say that they didn't do their job. They didn't. The job's not even complete. They just want to make sure because it's near the end of the year, and they probably realize I fired their ass because I retained another attorney. No big deal. Okay? But they didn't have the balls to come through me. They went through the attorney that recommended them to me, and what they realized is they failed. They failed at knowing somebody that's got the balls to say, fuck you, you're fired. Okay? Why? Because they didn't do their job. You know, I look at the politicians, the government, big corporations. They hire these attorneys, these big firms, and these guys are all about billable hours. That's all it is. They're paper pushers, man. I respect the law. No doubt about it. I respect the law. But Jesus Christ, these guys are unbelievable. And I've had both men and women that I've fired. Family law is probably the worst, though, because they're all about your net worth. And they're trying to get every penny they can just to write up paperwork. Motions after motion after motion. They can't negotiate. They're non-business-like, okay? And they just think they own you. And they want to become your therapist. And they're billing you. And you know the billing hours today? You're talking $700, $800 an hour. Are you serious? Exactly. So, you know, this YouTube basically is to say, listen, not all attorneys are the same. But I'm going to tell you that I took some time out to read this email over. And it was from their billing department. And I said, listen, my feeling here is I fire you guys. I didn't say I wasn't going to pay the bill, but I'm slowly going to pay the bill. Okay? They took notice. But you know what's funny? Is the attorney ended up calling my attorney that referred me to this firm in Pennsylvania. And it's a huge firm. And I used to work with these people for at least 5 years, but there was this great woman that did the job, and she left that firm. So they more or less referred it to this, I would call a junior partner, even though he's in his 50s. It's like, this guy doesn't know shit, okay? And I apologized to my business attorney that recommended them and said, listen, this is not being represented by a good firm. I took your advice. They ended up billing me. I had a real problem with this guy. Okay, no chemistry, and he outsourced it to a bunch of other paralegals and paper administration people. Okay, and this attorney is so arrogant. He billed me at his hourly rate for what they did. Exactly, and now he's trying to track me down for less than $1,000 because now he knows I fired his ass. And he went and cried and I'm so embarrassed because I'm retired, man. I'm retired. And this is how hard up it is for these guys. You know what? This guy might have been fired by now. He's probably no longer with the firm. Or he's probably leaving. That's what happens. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of change going on. So I'm just trying to give you an idea that do not be intimidated because you are basically the jockey on this horse. And attorneys are strictly paper pushers. They know the system. They're supposed to get you through very quickly. They should be looking at your cost, not their cost, not their expenses. They should be looking at your problem and solutions, okay? Very few do it. So I'm doing a YouTube on this because I want you to be aware that it took me at least 40 years to realize it's okay to fire attorneys. It's okay. Okay? Now, did I have a replacement? Yes, I got a replacement. And I was intimidated to say, hey, what do I do? And I'm going to be honest with you. I went on AI and asked the question, is it okay to fire my attorney without any repercussions, especially on the billings? Okay? Now, I'm going to give you another example. Family law. I fired my female attorney, and they sent me a final bill. It was like $15,000. And they never even completed the project. Okay? $15,000 after I paid about $50 or $60. I don't even recall. A few years ago. Okay? And so I had to go out and get another attorney. So I called my business attorney and said, listen, who's out there that we can really trust and get this thing done? You know what I mean? Because I'm going through a divorce and I want to get it over with. And I wanted to negotiate it versus go to trial. My attorney, this woman, she suggested we go to trial because there was going to be no solutions. So, Rock, you're going to have to go to trial. I says, fuck that. $25,000 for a one-day trial. And my ex-wife, that attorney was asking $25,000. So that's $50,000 that I would have to pay for one day and probably be very unhappy with a judge's decision. So I said, I'm not doing this. So I called a mediator friend of mine that knows the system, and we drew up an outline, and I said, this is what I'm going to present. And I had to give it to my attorney because I was engaged by an attorney and said, listen, present this and make it over. You know what she did? She ended up firing me and sent me a bill. Okay? So guess what I did? After everything was done, I hired another attorney, got through, did not go to trial, solved the problem myself with a legitimate attorney that had a business mind, okay? He helped me get through it. So we got all of the documents formalized and executed within the legal ramifications and documentation that needed to be executed. Done deal. Guess what happened? This attorney put a lien on me. Yeah, my own attorney put a lien on me because I didn't agree with her. And she sent a bill of $15,000. So I had to hire another attorney to say, fuck you. And we negotiated. Once again, I had to negotiate. And that attorney couldn't close the deal. So I ended up calling and said, listen, it's a one-time deal. I figured out what should I say? A fair settlement. So I didn't have to file a complaint of malpractice. Because that's what they were fearful of. And by the way, malpractice, forget about it. They're all in cahoots. They're all going to protect each other. And don't forget who judges are and committees are. They're ex-judges or ex-attorneys and all this other bullshit. See what I'm saying? But it's all about billable hours and their money. That's what it is. They don't come up with solutions. There's only a few good attorneys that are humble enough and reasonable enough that are going to say, this is the right decision. This is how to take the high road and do what's right. But don't forget, there's always got to be a compromise. Always. So don't think you're just going to walk away from any type of deal, because these attorneys are terrible, man. They are really terrible. So here I am on vacation doing some research in Vietnam, and I get this fucking email for $800 crying to my attorney that Rock fired us. Fuck that. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a YouTube. I'm going to do a YouTube. I'm not naming names. I'm just saying, hey, this is what happens. I realize now that you don't, it's just like hiring anybody else. You fire them. You are the client. The attorney, paper pusher. That's it. Okay? Sometimes you need a specialist, but they're really hard to find, man. And I found my guy through a litigator. And I'll tell you, I have referred my own business attorney to others. And guess what happened? Either some of them come through, some of them don't. People are always terrified of legal fees. You know what I mean? But guess what? You need them. You need attorneys like you need a doctor. You know? You need a banker. You need a CPA. There's certain things that you need in life. I don't care if you're in business or not. You're always going to need an attorney somehow, some way. Okay? So that's my message right now is be not afraid or intimidated to fire an attorney. In fact, it's just like anything else. Make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you are in control of saying, this is what you want done. For years, I've always put an outline or an agenda together before I call an attorney. I'd either send it to them, the legitimate ones, or I go through my checklist. And if they don't meet the checklist, I don't hire them. Now, the two that I fired in the last 5 years were referred to me by other attorneys. And guess what they find out? They find out that, man, you're fucking with Rock LaManna, man. I know what's going on. I mean, you know, when I think of the politicians and their troubles and so on, they get all these attorneys. Do you think that they stick with these attorneys at all times? No. If they don't achieve what needs to be done in a really quick time, or if they do not have the influence, they fire them. So I'm actually proud when I feel like somebody is not competent, that is only focused on their finances instead of the problem solving, you're out. So I'm going to leave you one more thing. After I lost an arbitration with a good attorney, by the way, okay, that referred me to my business attorney. So that's a real big plus. He said, you know, Rock, there's a saying within lawyers. What's the difference between a good attorney and a great attorney? I says, what's that? A good attorney knows the law. A great attorney knows the judge. Think that one through. And it's true. It's true. So you don't ever want to go in front of a judge. You don't want to go in front of an arbitrator. You do what's right for you. But you get the right attorney to speak for you. Say, this is what I'm trying to achieve. And if they don't want to get it, if they don't want to basically represent you to do the right thing for the client, fire them. Okay? So that's my message today. It's not an easy one, but you know what? I want you to have courage, because it could happen, man. I'm sure you know people that have hired attorneys and not happy with them. And you know what? They're a dime a dozen. They're a dime a dozen, man. It really doesn't matter. The bottom line is, it's a business transaction. Honor the law, know the law, go through an advisor, get a good attorney that's going to give you good advice, and then you cut your deal. That's what it is. Okay? So God bless you guys. I hope this helps. But I've been through it, man. I've been through it. And now I only deal with the people that I really like. I got to have, they got to be competent. But don't forget, you're the client. You're the one paying the bill. So you got to get solutions. Now, my last attorney that I hired was an estate planner, referred by my bank. And I got chemistry with them. They've been doing their job. They got good people. They respond. That's the other thing. They respond. They answer your calls and so on. It's important. Anything legal needs to get done. Time is of essence. Okay? Everybody knows horror stories with lawyers. So I'm just giving you some knowledge is fire them. As soon as you see that red flag, man, you get out. There's a lot of them out there. And just find out who you could trust, and they might make a referral. And in my case, he referred the wrong horse, only because the one that we had representing me prior to that left the firm. There's a reason why people leave firms. Either ethics, the way the operation, whatever their reason is. And then what they did is they referred another guy, and he was terrible. And I just basically said, you're fired. And you know what? President Trump taught me some of that stuff too. Everything's in negotiations. You know what I mean? And lawyers, they're just going to have to do their job, man. And if they don't come up with solutions and ways to get things done and get them done quickly, it's over. You find somebody else. I hope this helps. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. This is Rock LaManna. God bless.